Oh hey, like the video. Now you can wait till the end, but if you like either this video, like if this is what you thought it was when you clicked on it, and it turns out that you do enjoy it, or you like this, either way, be sure to show me. There's a cool button down below. It looks like this. If you click it, it lets me know that you liked it, and it also lets other people see it who are maybe looking for this. So again, if you do like it, let me know. Anyway, I won't bring that up again. That's it. That's all. One other thing though, before we get into it, is this was shot back in October, back when I made this. I'm just not getting around to editing it because of quarantine. So I only had a 720p webcam, like this one that's taped to the roof above me, to shoot the actual building of this. So unfortunately, this whole video is gonna have to be in 720p. I do now have 1080p though, so for future videos it will be 1080p. But yeah, this one's gonna have to be 720. So thanks for bearing with me, and we'll go ahead and get into it. Alright, so getting into it, the switches that I used were Teleo V2 switches. They're 67 grams and they're linear. I picked my switches just based off of sound completely, because I could have ordered a testing board and felt them all, but I think it's really difficult to gauge exactly what, like how good a switch feels across a whole keyboard with just one. So yeah, I just watched a ton of videos, and I just listened to how they sound, and these ones were my favorite, and I knew I would regret clicky, so I went with linear. What I'm doing here is I'm breaking them apart. I don't actually have like you can get a tool that opens up keycaps easier, but I just use a screwdriver to open them all up. And I bought this little tube of, it's Tribosys 3204, and that's the lubricant used for the switches. And so I got this tiny little like paintbrush. So yeah, for lubing them up, I did follow Tahe Types, if I'm saying that right. His tutorial on it. He's like the man when it comes to custom keyboards, but yeah, he made a really good tutorial on how to lube up key switches. So I will link that down below, and I would definitely recommend watching that. But yeah, pretty much it's just, you start in the bottom of the case, you put a bit on the spring, and you put it all over the actual stem on it, and then you close them up. But yeah, it takes a long time, man. It takes a long time getting those all up. But when it comes to key switches and lubing them specifically, less is definitely more. You don't want them to get, you don't want to cake them with lube. Just a little bit gets the job done. But yeah, as far as these switches go, because I've been using this keyboard for, I don't know, about 4 months or so. Switches I'm a big fan of. Honestly, if I built a keyboard, I'd want to try something different. Just if I built another keyboard, I would want to try something different, just because I could, but I definitely would be completely satisfied using these again. So big fan of the Teleos. Alright, onto the case. If you have not seen the case, I'm pointing up there. There's a little card giving me in the top right of the screen, and I will link it there. Yes, so for my stabilizers, I used Cherry stabs. I got them on eBay for like 12 bucks. I didn't use most of them. But yeah, also down below, I'll go ahead and link the video that I used for assembling them and also lubing them, because there is like a little trick to how you want to assemble them all together. Came with a couple different spacebar options. I believe mine was 6 units, if I remember correctly. Alright, so the PCB that I used for this project was the GK64. This one cost me around 45 bucks. And I picked it specifically because I liked that it had a light under each key. You can get ones that have like 3 or 4 lights across the board, or more than that. But I like having it under each key. I think it's got a better effect. My one big complaint with this keyboard was with this PCB is on the left side. there is not a stabilizer for the shift, the left shift, and I think it needs one. It's not a huge issue, but yeah. The one other thing that people brought up is its software is not very great, and I really don't use it a whole lot. I just use the built-in keys that it has, or the built-in functions it can do as far as lights go, and that works fine for me. Yeah, so I just got this pack of standoffs from Amazon, $9.99. They worked great. One of them didn't hold very well in the bottom left, but it wasn't a big issue. And yeah, I'll try and link to all the products that I use down below so you can use the same ones if you are looking for them. Alright, this was the biggest issue with this keyboard, was a plate. I would not recommend this plate, and there's one big reason why. So in the one I'm screwing in right now above the spacebar, there's like a post underneath it that will rub along the stabilizer, and it causes the spacebar to be pulled down and get very sensitive, and I ended up having to replace it with a pin string. I haven't found a good solution for this yet because now it's very difficult to push down. I think I just need to replace the plate and probably the stabilizer because it's been bent now. But yeah, the one big issue that I had with this plate was that it did not work with the spacebar very well. So here is my cable. If you have not seen this video, it is part 2 of the series. I'll put another card to that up in the top right. If I'm able to, actually. I'm not entirely sure if I can put 2 cards. I think I can, though. Here's the board with all the key switches in it. I'm plugging it in here so that I can check to see if all the keys register on an online key checker. And there it is lighting up. It's always a good sign. Alright, so I decided I would just put my keycaps on as I went across and checked each key, just as kind of like a little check mark that one is working. And as you can see, this is what happens, is as you put them in, there's 2 pins on them, and one of them or 2 of them will sometimes get bent pushing in, so I got a pair of pliers and just kind of unbent them, straightened them out, and put them back in, and then put the cap on them to make sure that they worked. I did this yeah, as I went along for each key. So yeah, the keycaps that I used, they're meant to look like GMK 9009 colorway, but they were like these cheaper $30 ones that I got on AliExpress. I'm pretty happy with the color of them in the end, and they do their job, so I can't really complain. So each of the corners, as you see, I left them a bit because I made my case myself. The corners I did not carve out as much as I needed, so I just used an X-Acto knife to get them so I have clearance to hit my corner keys there. But yeah, there is the finished keyboard. So I thought I would just give a couple closing remarks on this and kind of give my opinion on this. So yeah, this was my first project I made, my first keyboard project, I should say. So yeah, I'm very pleased with how this thing has turned out. Definitely could be improved, and I would like to in the future make another one with some of these things I've learned. But yeah, the big issue with it is the spacebar is just not very satisfying to press, along with sometimes this bottom arrow key will pop out. So yeah, in the future I think I would just solder them in instead. That is one thing I forgot to mention about this keyboard, was the PCB for it. It's actually, I believe it's called a hot swap, which means that you don't need to solder the key. So none of these are soldered in. These were just popped in and they work. But yeah, another thing, back the case, aside from not being very pretty, I ended up, so I have these little rubber like feet on it, but in order to get it, I put a couple pieces of duct tape on it here so that it sits at the right level so it doesn't wiggle around at all, because this is how it sits level, unfortunately, but I mean, you don't really notice it too much. I threw a couple stickers on the back. Not a huge fan of that, but yeah, I never see the back, and I think it's kind of cool because I use both these companies in making this keyboard. So yeah, the keycaps, I didn't realize this at the time. I mean, they're cheaper ones, so you kind of got to expect this, but if you look along the end of it, they all sit very flat, like across this way, when the keyboard sits like this. And so what a lot of key caps do is they kind of have a taper or like a curve along like this profile of them. And I think that's one of those things that with more expensive keys, that's kind of what you get out of it. Yeah, definitely a lot of imperfections about it, but it's also one of a kind, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out in the end. I know you're dying to hear what this sounds like, so I'll go ahead and throw in a little ASMR section, a couple minutes, I don't know, whatever, just type on it so you can get a good feel for the sound of these keys.